3 years ago, I was single and using dating apps to meet people. One night, I arranged to meet a guy named John at a bar near my house. When I got to the bar, I sat at the counter and texted John to let him know where I was. Less than a minute later, a man sat down next to me. He looked a lot older than me, but at the time, I didn't pay much attention. After a few minutes, he offered to buy me a drink. I politely declined, saying I was waiting for someone, but he stayed there, insisting on buying me a drink until my date arrived. I started to feel uncomfortable and asked him to leave me alone. The man got up and went to sit at one of the nearby tables. I texted John, telling him what had happened and asking him to hurry. I didn't get an immediate reply. I waited a few minutes and sent another message. "Where are you?" This time he answered, "Running late. Just order a drink while you wait." I thought it was weird. It seemed like a cold response for someone meeting me for the first time. That's when the older man came back and sat down next to me again, sarcastically asking where my date was and pretending to be concerned that I was still alone. I asked him again to leave me alone. I sent John one last message, and as I hit send, the man's phone on the counter vibrated. The screen showed the message I had just sent. In that instant, everything made sense. The man at the bar wasn't just some random stranger. He was John, using a fake photo on the dating app. I went to the bathroom and called my sister. She told me to leave immediately. I quietly left the bathroom, and the man was no longer at the bar. Feeling relieved, I went straight to my car and started driving home. It was a quick drive. When I got home, I parked in the garage and got out of the car and saw another vehicle park across the street. I ran inside and locked the door. A few minutes later, I looked out the window and the car was gone, but the bad feeling lingered. I explained the whole story to my sister. After some time trying to calm down, I went to my bedroom. While lying in bed, scrolling on my phone, I got a message from John. "Hey, sorry, I only saw your message when I got to the bar." I didn't reply. Then another message, "I'll meet you at your house." I called my sister in a panic. While we were trying to figure out what to do, we heard a noise at my window and saw someone try to open it. We screamed so loud that our parents came running. The man gave up and fled before they got to the room. Our dad ran outside to try to catch him, but he was already gone. We called the police. We gave them the phone number he used and all the messages. The officers said they would do their best to track him down. A few days later, my dad was called to the police station. They said the number was fake, created through an app, and it would be almost impossible to trace the real user. Time passed and the story kind of faded away. But even today, whenever I think about it, I can't help but wonder, if I hadn't realized in time that the man at the bar was John, maybe the ending would have been very different. I was trying to meet new people in the city I had recently moved to. After a few days, I arranged to meet a girl named Sarah. She was a few years older than me. She was 30 and I was 23. I knew the age difference was a bit much, but I was curious to meet her. It was my idea for us to meet at a restaurant downtown. I arrived early and waited in the parking lot. However, she had trouble finding the place and asked me to share my location with her. I did, and shortly after, she finally arrived. She got out of her car, and I walked over to hug her, but to my surprise, she told me she wasn't a fan of hugs. I didn't know what to do, but I respected it, and we went inside the restaurant. We sat down, and I quickly noticed she looked very different from her profile pictures. She looked older, and it was clear her photos had been heavily edited. I felt deceived, and my discomfort kept growing. The night wasn't going well. We had nothing to talk about, but we still had dinner. I was counting the minutes until it was over. I just wanted to leave. When the bill arrived, I waited to see if she would offer to split it, especially since I knew I didn't want to see her again. But she didn't, so I ended up paying for everything. I said goodbye and told her it was nice, even though I didn't feel that way at all. She didn't seem eager to leave, but I insisted that I needed to go and got into my car. Sometime after I got home, the doorbell rang. I looked out the window, and to my surprise, it was her. Sarah was standing at my front door. I had forgotten to turn off location sharing, so she knew exactly where I lived. I couldn't understand what she wanted. I hadn't left anything at the restaurant, and if I had, she could have just messaged me. In that moment, I realized she might be completely unhinged. Not knowing what to do, I backed away from the door and hid in the kitchen. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. "I know you're home." Panic took over. I replied, "What do you want? Why are you here?" I stayed silent in the kitchen, my heart racing. Shortly after, another message came. "I see you, let me in now." Desperate, I went to the living room and started peeking through the windows. That's when I saw her. She was peeking through the back window, where the curtain wasn't fully closed. Her eyes were staring right at me. In shock, I ran to my bedroom and called the police. I reported that I was being stalked by this woman. I put the call on speaker so they could hear the insane messages she was sending me. One of the messages said, "Nobody wants me. I'm tired of this." Another said, "You're just like all the others." That's when I heard the sound of breaking glass. I was frozen. I ran to lock my bedroom door and told the dispatcher that she was breaking into my house. They told me to stay inside the room and suggested I grab something to defend myself. The police arrived quickly. I heard them talking to her, asking her to calm down. When I finally came out of my room, I saw the officers surrounding her. She was handcuffed. She was arrested for trespassing and other charges. I had the option to press charges, but the cost of legal action would have been higher than just fixing the broken window. So I chose to repair the window and file a restraining order against her. Later, I found out her real name wasn't Sarah, it was Amanda. When I looked her up, I found some disturbing stories and learned she had a history of strange behavior. She had moved several times over the past few years, always after bizarre incidents. I couldn't help but wonder how many times she had done this before, and the scariest thought, who would be next?